There we go. What a real pleasure to be able to sit down with Prime Minister Mia Mottley of Barbados. Mia, your voice on climate change, on global inequality, on the work we have to do to build more resilient economies and infrastructures and opportunities for people around the world. Your leadership as a voice for the Global South and for small island developing states was remarkable at the Glasgow COP conference. But you and I have known each other a long while and been able to work a lot on some big issues. We're also really pleased to be co-chairing the UN Secretary General's Special Advocates Group on the Sustainable Development Goals. We know that those Sustainable Development Goals faced a significant setback because of COVID-19 and the global pandemic, but at the same time, they become more important than ever before in terms of moving forward and supporting people. So I'm really looking forward to exchanging with you on all these topics and more on how our friendship between Canada and Barbados and CARICOM and the entire region can continue. This is great to have you here as such a strong voice at the Summit of Americas, and I really look forward to this and many other conversations we'll have over the course of the week. C'est un grand plaisir de pouvoir accueillir la Première ministre Mia Mottley de la Barbade ici pour cette rencontre. On travaille ensemble sur beaucoup de grands enjeux au niveau des luttes contre les changements climatiques, au niveau de lutte contre l'inégalité mondiale, les investissements pour l'infrastructure, pour les bons emplois, de dealer avec les conséquences de la COVID-19 partout dans le monde. C'est une voix formidable qui continue à être présente dans tous les forums à travers le monde et nous travaillons ensemble aussi comme co-président de la campagne de l'ONU pour souligner l'importance des SDGs pour 2030. Alors nous allons continuer d'en faire partie. Très content de t'avoir ici, so happy to be able to sit down with you.
Merci mon frère. Je veux parler en français, mais la prochaine fois.
C'est déjà magnifique.
En anglais. It is my pleasure to meet with you and to allow our relationship between our two countries to continue to grow from strength to strength. This goes back centuries. It's not something that started in the last few decades. But in addition to that, your own relationship in your country on a personal level, and your father's relationship is one that we remember very, very fondly in Canada's role over the course of Barbados' development as an independent country in the early days. That we fight these common battles now is something of great importance to us, because we recognize that as small island developing states, even though within the multilateral system we have one vote, what we don't have, regrettably, is a world order that reflects equity and reflects opportunity and possibility for the least among us, for the most vulnerable among us. And therefore, for most, they don't realize that this is a triple crisis that we faced in the last few years. The common thread of the existential crisis of climate, we know that, we live it, we face it. The crisis of the pandemic, and we're not only dealing with COVID-19, but at the same time the reality that we're not getting people to invest in the antimicrobials resistance that we need to stop the 1.2 million people that are dying every year directly, or 5 million indirectly. And now we add to that, regrettably, the food and fuel crises that have literally started with the supply chain disruption of the pandemic, but exacerbated significantly with the war in Ukraine. And when you add to that, then you look at potentially the risk to a debt crisis and a financial crisis. So that the world, as Bob Marley would say, so much trouble in the world. And if we can come together and make that difference through the conversations that we have, you and I have particularly, as you said, a responsibility that we've accepted to help the United Nations Secretary General and the United Nations generally to allow countries to pursue their development, because that's all the Sustainable Development Goals are. Ordinary development for ordinary people. Problem is, when you're spending money on climate, when you're spending money on recovery from natural disasters or the pandemic, there's nothing left to help educate or to provide health care or to do the other things like water and sanitation that people need. So we look forward to seeing how we can think out of the box. We don't expect things to change immediately, but what we expect is fairness, what we expect is transparency, what we expect is that just as we want to see people, hear people, and feel people, that we want people to see, feel, and hear us as well. So I know that Canada is a strong proponent for these values, and therefore I hope that we can build those blocks together and push others in the same direction.
Thank you guys.
My friend.
Thank you, Mia.
Merci beaucoup tout le monde.
Au revoir.